Welcome back to another episode of the Film Breakdown. Today we're breaking down an anime film.
Yeah, this film is Suzume, directed by Mokoto Shinkai. He's made a lot of other very successful Japanese anime films, including Your Name, Weathering with You, Garden of Words. He's slowly...
That last one's...
Okay, we can talk about that later. But he's very slowly becoming kind of the next Hayao Miyazaki, just a director whose films become an event for people. This film follows a lot of kind of similar themes to his other movies. It's about a girl named Suzume. She's 17 years old, and she meets this traveling man who is trying to close doors around Japan to prevent natural disasters from occurring, because there's these forces in another dimension that are essentially responsible for all of these. And when certain obstacles come into play, they're essentially running all over Japan trying to close these doors and preventing weather catastrophes from happening.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really like this one. I thought it was very mid-tier.
Yeah, I called this probably the weakest Makoto Shinkai film. I mean, yeah. I know it's got really great ratings. It's got like a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. All the reviews I'm seeing are saying it's just as good as all of his other ones. But yeah, I would say this is a bit of a step down from some of his other ones.
Yeah, I think this one really struggled on the character build up, right? And kind of like story-wise, I guess it wasn't...
Yeah, because the majority of the structure of this film, and this is something that I've criticized, especially like a good example I can think of is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, where you have these characters, they have to go to a place, and then something happens, and they need to go to another place, and they need to go to another place, and they need to go to another place, and you don't necessarily feel like there's a build-up or a progression as much as there should be, but it's just kind of like a scavenger hunt type of movie.
Yeah, she's pretty much just doing a quest, and she's meeting people along the way, right? And
I really like the side characters. The side characters brought a lot to it.
That's probably one of the things I didn't like, was that, you were connected more to the side characters than a dude that became a chair. Yeah,
essentially the traveler, we see him for maybe 10 minutes in his human form, and then he gets magically turned into a three-legged chair. Now this chair does have some meaningful significance to the main character. Her mom made her this chair shortly before she passed away. But really, your emotional connection to this film kind of depends on how much can you get attached to this girl getting to know this guy who's trapped in the body of a three-legged chair. Yeah. It's kind of funny for the first 5 or 10 minutes, but when it's happening for as long as it does in this movie, it gets to be a little bit tiring, and you don't get as invested into the relationship and their emotional connection that's supposed to evolve in this as much as you should.
Yeah, he tries to create the same impact he had in Your Name and Weathering You, where you kind of feel that emotion, but because he didn't really create that connection with the chair as much, it was just like you kind of watching it like
yeah, it really is the same formula. It's a man and a woman, and they're in Japan, and there's weather disasters happening, and they are right in the middle of it, but the formula in this case I think has some diminishing returns.
This one really exposed his formula. It's starting to get stale.
Yeah, and people kind of call this, it's almost like an unofficial saga of all of these films. I'm not sure if it was necessarily designed this way. Maybe he's going to branch off into something different after this. But I hope so. You can definitely see the puppet strings at work, because they're a lot more clear.
Yeah, because you can't expect the animation to be always beautiful, right? You're gonna see the colors. You're gonna see the beautiful skies. The stars.
The animation is very beautiful.
He's always gonna.
I would argue though that it's probably the least beautiful animation out of the other ones. I couldn't help notice in a lot of scenes when you see like the characters and the locations that they're in, some of the detail was a little bit taken away. It was a little bit more simplified than some of his other ones, where I was just left like jaw dropped at the visuals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like this one really exposes his formula, because now it's kind of like a Marvel movie where it's like, okay, we're gonna do this for the animation, right? I want colors, stars, right? Beautiful skies. I want them falling there from the sky. Like it's all the same. So it's kind of it feels like there's less heart into the animation. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
and especially when so much of it is just taken up by going from door to door to door.
Yeah,
and
so
there's obviously certain revelations about the other world that gets revealed over this time, but the character relationship takes a bit of a backseat. Even when we get to the climax, because the climax, when they do go to this other dimension, and I guess we're getting into more spoilers.
Time travel.
Yeah, she randomly runs into her younger version of herself.
Yeah.
So I guess that this place kind of occurs on multiple temporal planes at the same time. Never really explained, never really addressed again.
Yeah.
But it just kind of seems like this world was kind of making up the rules as it went along.
Yeah, and I think that's what I think where people get kind of like lost in this movie, or like they praise it so much, is just because of the animation, right?
And the big ideas, just because
right.
I really like that the whole concept just of these Japanese natural disasters happening because of this world that is underneath Japan, because it is such a big part of their history.
The craziest thing is like it's all in the same universe as like the last two films, and like, man, Japan is rough, right?
Yeah, just like
a meteorite in Your Name goes down and kind of erases people's memories. You know, the next one is like this girl who can just make rain happen instantaneously, nonstop, if she feels like it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a country that is just, it's so regularly hit by these earthquakes and tsunamis.
Get me out of Japan.
Where they sit on the fault lines of the globe, and I think this was a really good way of personifying that.
Yeah, you know what's odd about this one too is that Weathering with You probably had to be one of his best writings, where he built the character's relation up, right? Kind of towards the end. It was less spectacle. Right, it was more story and character and drama. Yeah. Whereas this one was pretty much all spectacle, right? And less of the story, like less of the characters, like build up. Well, the two main characters at least. It was more side characters than anything.
Yeah. The side characters, I think kind of stole the show on this one.
Yeah, right.
More so than something like Weathering with You or Your Name.
So that's why I thought it was odd that he kind of went the opposite that he did with the last one. Like this one had the potential to be both, right? Spectacle and story, like Your Name, where it's like the perfect masterpiece. But oddly enough, he just decided no.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit underwhelming, but even though we can see the formula a lot more transparently this time around, I still think it's a good one to watch for anime fans.
Yeah. His next one is gonna be judged very hard. I will say that.
Yeah, tread lightly. Mokoto Shinkai.
I will not tolerate this. But what did you rate it?
For this one, I mean, I know we were overly critical of it, but I'm still going to give it a relatively positive rating, 3 out of 5 stars. It is something that, as I said, for anime fans, you are going to want to see. It's just don't expect a masterpiece like Your Name.
Yeah, I gave it a 3. You know, I'd say skip it. You know, I'm just more harder on that kind of stuff, right? Like, I'm not going to tolerate just good animation, right? I want story, right? I want characters and stuff, so. Yeah,
fair enough. When you set a high bar, you're bound to eventually drop and not meet people's expectations.
It's hard, too, because when the movie that made you, right, well, the next, Studio Ghibli, I guess, right, is Your Name, and it's the bar sits so high, and you're never gonna.
Yeah, don't expect Your Name. Right. I mean, Your Name, I consider it to be one of my favorite Ghibli animated films of all time.
Yeah. So I guess that concludes this episode.
Yeah, be sure to keep up with us for all of the latest batshit crazy cinema that we will be reviewing, and we'll wait for you and see you next time.
Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, and see you on the next one.